Right. Yesterday we began a speech of the Lubavitcher Rebbe, which is found in the first book of his speeches, Likuti Sichot, and this was in 1956. And it's talking about this week's Torah portion, one of them. With this week, we're two Torah portions. It's talking about one of them, and the one that we're speaking about here is the second. We're reading Bahar and Bechukotai. Here it says Bahar. Bechukotai, God is saying to the Jewish people, if you go in my statutes, then I'll give you the rains in their time and everything is going to be good. But the commentaries and from the Talmud also, they say that this word im, if, is not a condition. If you go in my statutes, then it's going to be good. And if not, then in the end of this week's Torah portion, it has 49 curses. And if you don't, then it's not going to be good. But the commentaries say that the word im also is a request. Im, if only you would go into do my commandments. God is praying, bequesting, beseeching the Jews that they should walk in his commandments. So the Rebbe said, what does it mean walk, and what does it mean commandments? There's a lot of names for commandments. Why does he use the name of chukotai? Chukotai. Why not? What is the difference? It's because the word, there's three types of commandments. There's commandments that you can understand, like don't kill, don't steal. Then there's commandments that are religious commandments, like keeping the Shabbat, because God, he rested one day and we went out of Egypt. So, and then there are commandments which make no sense at all, not even religious sense, and certainly no practical sense, like don't eat milk and meat together or something. Don't even cook milk and meat together. It's forbidden to cook it. So it makes no sense. So those commandments are called chukim, which the only reason you do it is because God commanded. And that's what the Rebbe is saying. That's what God is asking us. Please, Jews, do the commandments. Wonderful. But I'm beseeching you, I'm begging you, that when you do the commandments, it should be in the way of bechukotai. You should do it in a way that not only because it's understandable and not because you understand, you grasp all the Kabbalistic ideas and the wondrous history of Judaism, the glorious past of Judaism. Those are all good reasons. There's nothing wrong with that. And you're continuing the how do you say, the tradition. These are very good things, but that's not the main reason. In addition to all the logical reasons and the laws and the Kabbalistic reasons and the secret reasons, the reason that really should do the commandments is because you don't understand them. They come from God. They come from God, which if you think about it for a second, it really doesn't make any sense that they come from God. As we said so many times before, only Judaism has commandments. There's other religions have their traditions and their and their rituals, ceremonies, things like that. But those are things which were developed in the course of time. Here, Judaism is based on this. God gave us the commandments at Mount Sinai, and that was the beginning of Judaism. And that was the beginning of Judaism. It says, so God says, when you do these commandments, don't do it in order to get a reward, in order to go to heaven, in order to to maintain Judaism. These are all good reasons. They're good reasons, but they're external reasons. The real true reason that connected to your heart, that'll make you telecho, that'll make you move, is if you do the commandments because they're chukim, because they're not understandable. And it was not the negative part of that they're not understandable, that you're doing it because God said to do it, and it makes no sense why God would want us to do it. But the fact is, it also makes no sense why God creates us. But he does, and doing the commandments, that connects us to God in a total way. Okay, the Torah continues and says, there's schar, the reward for this. Right, you get a reward for doing the commandments. What's the reward? It says clearly in the Torah, "V'natati gishmeichem bitam," I will give the rains in their proper time. Early rains, late rains. Geshem baruchnius, you'll have the rains, spiritual rain. Was does is their yarov kamatar lichi. This means the understanding, the appreciation of the ideas of the Torah, and even higher, understanding even ideas which are the deepest secrets of the Torah, their or, namely the light The light of the Torah, and even higher than what's called the light of the Torah, the source of the light of the Torah, that's the blessing that we get if we do the commandments in the proper way. We're doing it only because God commanded it, not what we're going to get out of it, what we're giving to God, so to speak. We're giving the Torah, then the reward is you receive the light of the Torah, which the Mashiach is going to teach everyone. Was the Torah, the whole idea of the Torah from now is just like wind compared to the Torah of the Mashiach. The Mashiach will explain the depth of every word in the Torah and the depth of every commandment. When Durach them, by means of this, also, Gishmechem B'itam, you'll also not just spiritual reward, but you'll get physical reward. You'll have actually the rains in their proper time. The Gashmis and the physicality of the world, Vet Zayin and Azo will be in such a way as Nit Norvos Zivet Nit Uppelt, and it won't prevent or disturb a Jew from serving God, nor Adra, but even more. Zivet nor Zuhelfen. The physical world will help us to serve God even more. Like it says in the future, if you're not thinking about God, you're not thinking about why you're here in the world, and you're walking on the street will yell out to you, hey, what are you walking on me for? I'm better than you. I'm at least doing what I'm supposed to do, the street. God created me. People should walk on me. God created you. You should say words of Torah. You should be better than just what nature, right? My nature I have to follow. But you, a Jew, you can go against your nature. You can learn Torah. What he says is the world, the physical world, will help us and remind us to serve God, inspire us. Like it says, the Torah. One of the great rabbis in the Talmud said, they asked him a question. He said, I can't answer the question because I didn't eat yet. When I eat meat of a fat, it's a fat meat, then my mind will be settled. And I never met anybody like that, but there was somebody, at least in the Talmud, that was like that. Until he ate fatty food, right? Then he would be satisfied, and then he would get good ideas. As biz es no, it's just translating what's it. Zumit die Gashmius vet mer dienen der Rebbe, and that with the physical world we can serve God with in a way of peace and calmness and peace of mind. The physical world will actually help us to serve God. In Likuti Torah, in the book of Likuti Torah this week, Vet declared is that everything from the 49 curses, Zayin and Be'emes, are really blessings. Remember, we learned that in the morning. This morning we learned. For instance, 10 women bake their bread. They'll only have one oven to bake it in. And that's the simple meaning. That that's the simple meaning. In other words, that women will have a little bit of bread and they won't be able to bake it. There'll only be one oven for every 10 people. Now every house has an oven. And then it says one of the curses is there won't be any ovens to bake your bread with. You're going to have to eat your bread. And that's a simple meaning. That's the curse. What's the blessing that's inside of it? That it says 10 women, that all the 10 powers of your soul will be like heated up and excited about echad, about the oneness of God. Don't just say one oven that they'll cook in, but the oven, the heat of echad, that God is one. All the 10 powers, that's the 10 women, will bake their bread. It says the bread is the Torah. That's what we learned in the morning. Norazoi vi zezayin and in hoicha brachas. In other words, all these curses are really high things. As Kenan Zaynit, Arapke, but just that there's such high blessings. So why does Hashem put them into as curses in the Torah? Why are there written 49 curses? Because the blessings come from such a high place that they can't come down in a way that we can perceive them. Therefore, they have to come down in such a way, and ways of curses. Too much, too good. Like if you take, let's say, a poor person in the street, right? A poor person in the street is scrounging around in garbage cans. Maybe there's a little sardine or something like that to eat. And he's all dirty and he's filthy. And you go to him and say, "Listen, I want to help you out. Want to help you out? I'm going to give you $1,000,000. You give him $1,000,000, it's the worst thing for him. Worst thing in the world for him. You give him $1,000,000. Right? Even more, you give him $10. $10. They'll immediately go out and buy drugs with it. What's the best thing that you can do for him? Best thing you can do is you send people, let's say, and they beat him up. They beat him up and he's laying there on this. And then you go to him little by little. Now he can't run out and buy drugs. He can't do this. And you save him from these people. Oh, now he's very grateful to you. Oh, so there's a beginning. Finally, he's grateful to you. So something bad happened to him, right? But you save him. He's still alive and he's recovering and you take care of him. Now he's really grateful to you. He realizes somebody cares for him. He helps him. You can give him $10, $50. You give him $100. Give him $1,000. Little by little, you can build it up. Right? But if it wasn't for that first crash that he had, he would have never come to his senses. Right? So in other words, sometimes when things are too good, they're so good you can't accept it. So it has to come in a veneer, in a garment of bad. Seems to be really bad, but in fact, it's really good. So that's the Tzemach Tzedek he brings also in a footnote that this is also the simple meaning, what it says in the Torah, in the Talmud, that there's this strange story. Where is this? Yeah. In Moed Katan, bizarre story, that Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, he sent his son, Rabbi Eliezer ben Shimon, so he sent to Rabbi Yonatan ben Amosi and to Rabbi Yehuda ben Gerim. That was these two rabbis. Now these two rabbis happened to be very deep secret mystics. And Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, he knew it, but his son did not know it. So he said, go and to them and get a blessing. I think it was his son's bar mitzvah, whatever. But in any case, he sent to him and said, get a blessing. Then there is Gekum, and he went to the Rebbe, it says Rebbe Shimon Bar Yochai. So he went to these two rabbis, and he came back, and Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, did they bless you? He said, no, Father, what did you send me to these people? They were terrible. He said, they cursed me. He said, they gave me the opposite of a blessing. Rabbi Shimon said, no, what did they say? And so he told them what they said. He told them what they said. In fact, I have it written down over here. 1 second. Just one moment. They said to him terrible things. Your house is going to burn down. Here, 1 second. I should have opened this up before, but I didn't. 1 minute. Listen to that. Anyway, they said things like your house is going to be wrecked and you're going to, oh, here it is. 1 second. 1 minute. Oh, here it is. Okay, I got it. Watch this. So Rabbi Shimon sent them, and they came back, and his son, he sent his son, Rabbi Eliezer ben Shimon, and he came back and he said, no, did they bless you? And he said, no, Daddy, they really cursed me. I don't know why in the world you sent me to those terrible people. He gave me curses. So he said, well, what did they say? So he says to them like this. Here, 1 second. Let me see if I can find this. I'm sorry. 1 minute. So these rabbis, they said to Rabbi Eliezer, they said like this, oh, you want to get a blessing? I'll give you a blessing. May it be God's will that you will plant and you won't harvest. You'll bring goods to sell and you won't be able to sell them. You'll invest in one place and you won't bring anything back. Your house will be destroyed and instead your guests will take over it. And your table will always be confused. Your table will always be confused, and you will not see a new year. You will not see a new year, seeming to imply that you won't see next year. So he said, what type of blessings are those? So Rabbi Elazar ran back to his father and said, they cursed me. He said, no. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai said, everything they said to you were tremendous blessings, and I'll explain. That you'll plant and you won't harvest means that you will give birth to sons, right? Sons, that's giving, planting, seed, will give seed, and you won't harvest means that they won't die. They won't be cut. You ever see the Grim Reaper? You'll invest money and you'll buy produce and you won't sell it. What does that mean? That you'll bring wives for your sons, and your sons won't die, and they won't have to and they won't get divorced, so the girls won't have to, the wives won't have to go back home. But that's what it means. You'll bring in things to your house to sell, and you won't sell them. In other words, you'll bring in wives for your sons, and they'll never leave. You'll invest your money someplace, and it won't come back. Means you'll give birth to daughters, and their husbands won't die, so that they won't have to come back to your house. Your house will be destroyed, and your guests will take it over. Means that he says, this world is like a guest. You're just a guest here. A guest. The world to come, that's going to be permanent. That's what it means. Your house should be destroyed. It means your grave should be destroyed. And you will live long, and you won't have to come to bury. The Moshiach will come before you're buried. It says that Rabbi Elazar, by the way, he passed away and he didn't die. He wasn't buried. His body didn't rot, and he was spoken. He answered questions, everything before, while he was dead. Your table will always be confused. What does it mean? Your children, your sons, and your daughters, your children will always be around your table, and they will disrupt and disorder the table. And you won't see a new year. What does it mean? Your wife will not die, and you'll have to marry another woman. Huh? Okay, so those are the blessings that they gave him. They gave him a way of curses. Okay, obviously, ask the question very simple. Why didn't they just give him blessings? Just why do they have to that only Rabbi Shimon could understand? Why do they have to say these terrible things? So the answer to the question, that's the question he's going to ask. Yeah. In Plug, at first glance, Vibald does Zaina Hoicha Brachas. No, I'm sorry. So he said, so why did they have to say in a way of in curses? It says because of that, there's the Marsha, what is it? Rabbi Shlomo Adiret. And he said that anyway, he gives one answer, and the Tzemach Tzedek gives another answer. He says no, that these blessings really came from such a tremendously high place, that they couldn't be brought out in a regular way. They couldn't be brought out in a regular way. They had to be brought out in a way of a curse, because they wouldn't be able to take them. The world wouldn't be able to accept them. Like the example I gave you about the poor person, they give them too much money. They had to be brought into the world in a way of negative things. So it's the same thing with the 49 curses in this week's Torah portion. That really, they're tremendously good things. Tremendously good. That's the idea of the good that's going to be revealed in the days of the Mashiach. We don't really know what really good is. We don't have any concept. And so it says, therefore, to bring this type of good into the world, this type of good, the good of the days of the Mashiach, so it has to come in a very, very, very concentrated way in the beginning. So it seems like to us, with our mindset, there's a tremendous curse. But still, we have a question. People, because these are really high blessings, which have to come in a concealed way. Via Zoy Hadzi Rabbi Shimon. So how could Rabbi Shimon? How could he understand them? Rabbi Shimon understood. I thought they were so high nobody could understand them. Why did Rabbi Shimon understand? As Vet Menish Versteh, we can understand, like what it says in the Tanya, that sometimes difficulties and tests and tribulations and tortures come to a person, and they are really good, but they come from the hidden world. and they're so high that we haven't got any vessels to accept them. So it seems like, giving that poor person in the world $1 million, to him, it's the worst thing in the world. He gets that $1 million, he's going to think, wow, everybody's going to steal it from me. They're going to beat me up. They're going to kill me. I can't keep a low profile. Bechinat Yudke, sometimes a blessing comes from such a high place as therefore come to Itzter Arab, the Bechinas Tseil below aura. Like a person, let's say, is blind, is in a dark room. So if you turn on the lights at one time, it blinds him. It's just too blinding because it's too much light. Too much light. The same thing as big blessings come in a way, it looks like blinding. It looks like it's very dark. Right? It looks like a terrible thing. The same thing, these people gave him such a tremendously high blessing that came from such a high place that it couldn't come out in a positive way. Only it seemed to him it was terrible. Undurach them, because of this, was men is makabel by means of accepting any difficulties in life with joy, is men zochan to tzeis Hashem es gvuraso. It means you widen your vessels, you accept with joy, and you realize that the situation that you see in front of you is not all there is to the picture. There's something much bigger going on over here, and that widens you out. It doesn't make you so narrow, and that's called joy. That enables you to receive the blessings. Was vet sein latid. That's what's going to be in the future. Of what's done, which then that arubkum, that will come down a tov v'nira v'nigla, a totally good, a revealed good. Those souls, which their whole thing is to reveal the inside of the Torah, like Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, by them, by Zay, Oich Itzer, even now, they can see this revelation, what's going to be in the future. So the Rebbe is trying to hint to us that that's the whole idea of learning Chassidut. Learning Chassidut is getting the big picture of everything. Therefore, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, that he knew all these secrets of the Torah in a real way. Was sein inyan, which his whole thing was to reveal the inside of the Torah. Therefore, that answers the question. He was able to understand these apparent curses and translate the blessings which were hidden inside of them. He could he could explain these apparent curses to be blessings. Viola, because by him, had shown Meir was already shining this Katzesa Shemesh Gevroso. By him, it was already like the level of Moshiach. He was already, it says that by him, there was no destruction of the temple. He was already, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, already was aware of the pure godliness which is going to reveal to all creation. Which therefore, brachas, the Rebbe therefore kumte oistaichum from their tochacha. Therefore, we can also say the same thing about the 49 curses in this week's Torah portion. They seem to be curses, but in fact, if we explain them according to Kabbalah, according to Chassidut, it comes out that they're really blessings. And that's what the idea of Chassidut, Chabad, specifically is. It's taking the ideas of Kabbalah to see the inside of everything, but in a way that's practical, day to day, that makes us happy, in a practical way. This brings the Pnimis of Torah, the inside of the Torah, in a revealed way. And here the Rebbe explains, and we're going to stop here, but he explains that there's different advice that's given in the Tanya about what happened, what you should do, how you should react when bad things happen. And the Rebbe explains that all of them mean that there's a certain degree of suffering. But the Rebbe explains that if we really internalize the teachings of Chassidut, the oneness of God, how God loves every person in the world, especially every Jew, and every deed is directed by God, then when we really internalize this, then apparent bad things will not be bad at all. And that's the idea of Mashiach, revealing the true inner intention of every instant of creation, past, present, and future, so that this world becomes meaningful and positive and blessed. That's why we need Mashiach now. Okay, I promised to tell stories. I'll tell you a story.